The Pit Season 1 is better than Severance Season 2. Welcome back to What We're Watching. We are Reel Chums. I'm Danny. This is Marcel. And on this channel, we review movies, we have a movie podcast every Sunday, and we talk about what we're watching because, you know, we wanted to always talk about movies and shows.
Yeah, we always want to talk about what we're doing. So with that said, Danny, let me tell you what I've been watching.
Yes, I want to know.
So we recently...
our last episode that we did.
Yeah. So we just filmed our podcast episode for Karate Kid.
Yes.
So check that out as it comes out. And I watched the second one. It'd been a long time. And I know people don't like it as much, and I can see why, but it still holds up. It's still good. Yes. And it still feels very much like part of the Karate Kid verse, so to speak. I think sometimes sequels, they take what they had done in the original and they just like go, let's multiply this by 10, right? Whereas this one it's still very grounded. We continue to focus on Mr. Miyagi, his background, and it's still a character-driven story. Yeah, and I think people wanted maybe more like fighting from it.
But I remember I did.
Yeah, but like watching it, I'm like, this still feels like a proper sequel to the first one. And I had a good time with it. Like, I think it'd been at least a decade since I watched the sequel. And it's good. Like, I had a good time with it.
I'm tied up with a couple series. And I just have to, like, the biggest one, listen, I want to say it. The Pit Season 1 is better than Severance Season 2.
Oh.
Okay, I said it. I'm sticking to my guns. And I'm going to tell you why. I loved Severance Season 2 for the cinematography and some of the kind of bonkers twists that they had. But they built too long that I was getting Lost vibes. You know, in Lost, did you watch Lost?
I watched the first 15 episodes of Season 1.
Okay, yeah. See, you don't know.
But I kind of know.
Yeah, you know, but you don't know. Because here's what happens.
I know that they dragged it too long.
In Season 3 to like 6 or whatever, 4 or whatever, like 3 seasons, they dragged hella long.
Yeah.
And I was like getting PTSD, and it was amplified because my wife wouldn't stop bringing it up. Like I would get mesmerized by some of the cinematography, and then she'd bring up some things, and I'm like, "Dang it, you're right." It's Season 2. In Season 2, they're doing ambitious swings, and they're trying to deliver on something. And I think they delivered on one area, and they're just a little lacking on like a payoff. Like there is a good payoff on one aspect, but I think an overarching story payoff, it wasn't quite there, in my opinion. Okay. That's right. Now, The Pit is an absolute emotional roller coaster tied together with insane production value and editing, like how, because it's in the style of 24. Every episode is 1 hour of the shift. So every episode, like I don't know what the breakdown was. I don't know if they did like they did like 3 hour, like a chunk, or they like sequenced that, but I'm going to tell you, it is phenomenal. And the budget cost for this series is high, but it's so worth, because it's amazing.
Okay. It's on my watch list. Final episode comes out like this week, right?
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, so I will, or it already came out.
There might be one extra episode, actually. I have to double check, but it's either this week or next week, but for sure.
So I'll start catching up on it because I just can only binge stuff. Unless it's, for me, the other shows that I've been watching week by week. You've been watching The Pit. I've been watching St. Denis Medical. It's on its first season. It's on Peacock, and it's an emergency room employees at a hospital in Oregon, just making their way through their shifts.
And The Pit is emergency room doctors making their way through a shift in one of the most critical, in a learning hospital, meaning there's a lot of stuff that comes through, so they have to teach. Anyways.
But St. Denis Medical, it's funny. So I'm a sucker for like
workplace comedies.
Mockumentaries, especially. So this is Justin Spitzer, who also did Superstore. He did American Made, which I think only had 2 seasons, and it was so good.
It was good.
And now he's doing this. And so like, this is just your You have the wacky boss, all the weird, quirky employees, the one surgeon who thinks he's so cool. And he's great. I'm having a good time. And it's the first season, so like you're learning everyone, who they are, how they play off of each other. And I think we're on episode like 14, and it just keeps getting better and better. Like, it's funny. I think sometimes in first seasons you get to a point where you're like, okay, so like, where are we going with this? And here I'm just like, that's okay. Like, there's an overarching storyline they're driving, but like each episode is just funny. And they bring up like some like moral issues in a comedic environment. Yeah. And it's great. Like, I am having a great time.
I'll have to check it out because I want some more medical in my life.
Yeah.
It's just I think it's a high stress environment, the ER. And so like, it's a great place to put, serious drama or comedy inside. Yeah.
Yeah. No. And this one's great. I think the last episode I just watched, this guy, he's in there and he's asking ChatGPT for like a patient. He's asking his symptoms. And then the one head doctor, he's like, well, I'm going to do this. He's like, well, I think you should be doing this other thing. And he's like, where'd you learn that? He's like, oh, ChatGPT just told me. And he's like diagnosing himself. And it's just, I know that this kind of stuff is happening.
Yeah. 100%.
In an emergency room right now at some point.
Here's the other one I binged. The Residents. Shondaland whodunit series.
Okay.
The writer is the same writer from Scandal and one of their other properties. The writing, top echelon. Characters, like we have, just phenomenal. I think female who plays Detective Cup is just so good. And I was kept. So one of the biggest things is like, they rebuilt the residence of the White House, right? Mm-hmm. So like, it's not the West Wing, it's not the Oval Office, it's legit the residence. It's like one of the largest recreation sets because they have some really beautiful, like they do a spot that it's composited, but they do a side like a whole like cut through as if you're looking through like a fake model. And then they reposition into another spot. They do other moments where it goes above while they're walking through the residence. Oh, okay. And it is just cool. It's some really good stuff. What I love about it though is like I would argue that it competes aggressively with Knives Out.
Really?
Yeah, I think, and it's just a different take. And I don't know where I stand. I kind of am leaning a little more to this style. Only because she's got more of like a reserved field that Benoit Blanc has. Mm-hmm. He's kind of like observer. He's just trying to get the story. They do this similarly in a way where, she's such a specific. The way they've written her Detective Cup is such a very unique, subverting expectations. Sure. And I think you would highly enjoy this.
I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, watch list. It's on my watch list. I just need to
You just need to start freaking, you just want to watch on the TV. And I'm not saying it's not warranted, but the amount of content that is out there, get to it with.
Well, let me tell you what I've been watching on my phone. Cobra Kai. I'm finally getting around to Cobra Kai. I'm like 6 episodes in. It's okay. I thought I was going to like it more.
I think it gets for the first two
seasons were produced by YouTube, right?
A YouTube original series. So it wasn't until the third-ish season when they like gave it a lot more love. So just plow through.
Just push through these first 2 seasons. Plow through
the first 2 seasons.
Okay, and it's not that it's bad.
No, it's not. But the heart comes in the later half. And part of it is because the editor. What they shifted the tone, and then they brought in another editor who is very meticulous. He's a very great editor. He's a guy who I fought, Zach something. I followed his career, and he's talked about it a lot. He came in and he rewatched a lot of the Karate Kid, and then the team also doubled down on like trying to like give love to the original trilogy and like trying to emphasize that. So there was a big growth because it was kind of like. They did it as a low budget, and then they got a little bit more budget, and then they lost a little bit of budget, and then they got bought up by Netflix, and so like they finished it out over there.
Did the showrunners and writers continued from?
I believe that I believe yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
I think the issue I'm having, it's maybe now that you mentioned like the editing, because like I do feel like it's not that it's slower paced, but sometimes I'm just kind of like it drags a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm just not that I'm like, oh, where's all the fighting? No, it's just like, where's this? Let's keep this story moving forward, right? I know all my players here. Okay, like now let's get it going. So I think that's kind of it. I'm enjoying it, but I think from what I've heard, so many people love the series that I'm just kind of like,
where's it coming?
Where's it coming from?
Just plow through, just like, even if it's like I would say even the first 2 seasons, use it as like a background, like just let it play in the background, just hear the story.
This is the first time that I'm watching it on my phone, and 2, that you can speed up the. So I've been watching it like I've been speeding it up a little bit.
Sometimes there's series like that where like they didn't find themselves until a little bit later.
Yeah, and this
is one of those shows. Yeah, so I think it's totally fine. All right, we want to know, what are you watching? What movies? What series do you have any hot takes of the things we said? Leave them in the comments because we want to have a conversation about this until we have our next one.
With that said, we'll see you guys next time.